Think Aloud protocol. The following presentation has been put together by Paddy mulcahy and donal lenahen, students of Product Design and Technology in the University of Limerick. This presentation is concerned primarily with the explanation of Think Aloud protocol usability method, why it is used, when is it most useful, who uses it, how to use the technique, the advantages and disadvantages of the method, and finally a trial usability evaluation of the Think Aloud protocol to give you a deeper understanding of the method. When studying the design process, research is essential. As a designer, we conduct usability evaluation trials with the product or service you wish to redesign. Think Aloud protocol is a very effective method. Think Aloud allows the researcher to set a real understanding of the thought process of the subject as they use the product or device. Why is Think Aloud protocol used? When developing a new product, it is essential for the designer to understand how the user interacts with the product. Think Aloud is a great method of understanding how the user approaches the product or service and what considerations the user keeps in mind when using the product. Who uses Think Aloud protocol? Think Aloud can be used in any field of design as a valid and effective means of user research. For example, if Sony were to design a new MP3 player, they could ask related users to take part in a Think Aloud protocol trial. In this way, the designer carries out very effective research and user issues with the product becomes very clear. Think Aloud is one of the best forms of market research because of the level of insight the observer gains into the thought process of the user. When is Think Aloud protocol used? Think Aloud is used at the research stage, and this method gives current user interaction with the design, and can be used in comparison with existing products on the market. Think Aloud can also be used at the development stage of your design. You could see how the user interacts with your new design prototype to see any problems that will be associated at the early stages in your design. This can help save a lot of money down the line, as it helps to find out any problems associated with your design. How to use the method. The method of Think Aloud process will now be discussed. First, you must decide what product or service you wish to analyze. You must find what aspect you wish to study, whether it's the setup, the usage, or the dismantling. You then must figure out your user group. You then must find a representative of this user group that is willing to participate in the user test. When you have found the user, you must inform them of the task in hand. Set the goals of the task, but not the steps required to achieve the goals. This challenges the user to discover the steps themselves, allowing for more qualitative analysis of the product. For example, the goals of the task could be to use an electric mixer to mix some cream. The observer should not tell the user how to do this. For example, pull the mixer out of the box, plug in the mixer, attach the whisks, pour the cream into the bowl, turn the mixer to the required speed, mix the cream for 1 minute, turn the mixer off, pull it out of the bowl, eject the 2 whisks. To get the maximum benefit from the usability evaluation, do a practice run on the user. We do this to find out if the user is giving the required amount of detail and to help them feel comfortable. A practice run can be easily done, for example, asking the user to count the number of chairs in the room. After the practice run, the observer can decide whether he is happy with the level of detail given. If not, the observer can tell the user to speak more frequently to give more specific details. If the observer is happy with the level of detail given, they can continue to the real trial. As to be a success, the user must be observed closely. 2 is the optimal number of observers. Any less than 2 and the maximum amount of information may not be recorded. Any more than 2 may make the user feel uncomfortable and may cause him to incomplete the task. Having more than 2 observers keeps the user relaxed. It also helps to record the task. What one might miss, the other might catch, resulting in more accurate evaluation. To ensure the 2 normal operations for the user, it is important that tests must be conducted in the right environment. For example, the task of using a mixer to mix cream, it is important that this must be conducted in a kitchen, the usual operating environment. and all the available apparatus is available to the user, for example, the power outlet, a bowl, and cream. Reassure the user that it is the instructions rather than the user being tested. It is a common problem when carrying out think aloud protocol procedures. For example, if the user was asked to turn on a TV with a remote control and after several minutes the user still hasn't completed the task, they may feel stupid, they may feel they have failed, whereas often the longer the user has taken, provided the thought process is communicated effectively, provides more useful information than shorter trials. For this reason, it is important that the user is in a relaxed environment. During the trial, the observer should only speak to tell the user to keep describing their thoughts. In other words, the observer should not help the user in any way to complete the task. It is advised that the observer encourages the user to keep talking, even when they are stuck on a particular task for a long time. The user must know themselves when the goal has been achieved. The observer should not say that the task is finished. The user should know themselves. This is essential, as this gives a deeper understanding of the user's interaction with the product. Advantages of think aloud protocol. This method gives an in-depth, unbiased detail in a step-by-step logical sequence, usually being that the user has no association with the product or observer. It allows the designer to get inside the minds of the user and view the product or service from the point of view of the user. The designer therefore can find out the good points and bad points of their product or service. Participants do not have to recall their thought process long after the test, as method allows from real-time documentation. People have a limited amount of short-term memory available, so this method avoids the user having to remember their thoughts and feelings. Because the thought process does not have to be transcribed by the user, the observer gains an understanding of the common vocabulary of the user and therefore can communicate more effectively with the demographic. If the testing procedure is recorded, the footage can be accessed at a later stage to allow the researcher to analyze further. It can also allow other researchers later on comment on other findings that you might have missed. The process is information intensive in that the observer gains a lot of comprehensive information in a short period of time. The information received from the trial could include posture while using the product, problems encountered with the functionality. This information can be related back to the video as proof of your findings. Disadvantages of think aloud protocol. The user must effectively split brain power between tasks. This could affect their efficiency of thought. People are often only able to perform one task at any given time. This is often seen when studying a child, as their brain seems to focus on one thing at a time. The user is put in a potentially awkward social situation whilst explaining their progress. We see this often when the user is shy. They are not able to effectively describe their thoughts. The think aloud process is a slow one, which would require many users before a conclusion can be drawn. Sometimes it is hard to get the proper demographic for the trial, so many users is often needing to get an accurate result. The researcher is relying solely on the communication skills of the user to understand the process. This is often not the desirable level. It is important that the observer must get the required amount of detail from the user, or else the test isn't valid. It is difficult to recruit suitable users for the trial, especially if a certain skill level is required. For example, to test fire a gun, you'd have to find users that are qualified to fire a gun. It may also be difficult to recreate or simulate the real environments in which the product would be used. For certain products, communication may be difficult. For example, when testing a children's toy, the child would be very hard to test using this process.